Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Tuesday night. This is week number 7 for the Nexus Gaming Series, Season 6. And we are casting tonight a best of 3 series in Division C on the East Coast between Zul'jin Distillery, they will be the team on the left, our blue team, and ReGen Red, they will be our red team on the right-hand side. Zul'jin Distillery here, currently in 6th place out of 11th in the division. I believe ReGen Red is sitting at 3rd currently. They've had a lot of wins recently. Bans here, Sky Temple was banned by Zul'jin Distillery, and ReGen Red banned out Alterac Pass. Give me 1 second here. Okay, cool. That was taken care of. So asking both teams if they are ready to go. Cast here is good. Map number 1 will be a Battlefield of Eternity that was picked by ReGen Red. Just asking both team captains here for the ready check. So ReGen Red is ready. ZGD ready. Make me... Just waiting on Zul'jin Distillery. Thor, you know, I almost fell for that, but this is why I have OBS up. I have OBS up. I'm literally looking at my USB mic monitor, okay? I literally have it up. So, both of these teams pretty evenly matched. Both teams well known. Haven't gotten a chance to cast XGD before. But here we go, folks. Game number 1 will be on Battlefield of Eternity. Let's get right into it. Alrighty. BOE, a map that is well known for its team fighting around those immortals in the mid part. 2-lane map. Normally you see a 4-1 run. Artanis being the first ban here from Zul'jin Distillery. I would imagine Anubarak you generally see banned across most games now. Top tier tank, post sort of rework of the lanes and experience. Diablo is also a pretty big menace on this map. Any kind of burn you oftentimes do see banned here. You might see a Vala, even though she's not as typical. ETC, interesting choice there. I have to believe that's probably a target ban. ReGen Red may have done their homework here, so we shall see. So Diablo, Anubarak, Garrosh still up here. So oftentimes you see Li Ming. Ana is also a top tier support, so not surprised to see her taken out of the equation. Will we see things like Maiev banned out? Genji is also still a menace. Hanzo could be banned out. So a lot of different race options. You oftentimes see teams flex into a gray main, even though he kind of fell out of the meta a while ago. Thank you, Thor. Some Fs for sure as we get back into this casting. And we see a choice on Raynor. So interesting decisions here. A lot of things are left open. This will leave the Diablo for that first pick if XGD Zul'jin Distillery chooses to go for that. They could prioritize burn, like that gray main, like a Li Ming perhaps. Picking damage that early could be punished though, but they picked Tyrande, so deciding to take her here. She is an excellent healer, one of the TRS supports in my opinion. Can apply that Hunter's Mark to the Immortal and just take it down ferociously, right? So that auto attack talent at level 1, also getting a ton of value from the get-go, especially since it was swapped from level 7. I personally, as a support main, do like that change myself. We see the Johanna and the Jaina taken. So I do like that pickup. Joe, in general, very good tank. I know Arrow, it's one of his favorites, and Carve has been flexing as the range damage player that Jaina recently. So Jaina, excellent for wave clear, good for burst and kill pressure in the early game. We see an Arthas picked up. That's very interesting. Arthas, Hanzo. So showing that solo lane nice and early. The Hanzo not a big surprise here. Expecting a full W build, especially on this map for the burn. XRGD. Don't mess me up, Murda. Don't mess me up. It's already hard. The letters are hard. So what is left to ban here? A main tank. I still think the Diablo or the Anubarak is the choice here. I'm not going to respond to that, Thor. We do see the Anubarak ban. I do like that. It does leave the Diablo on the table, which is probably okay. Hopefully, we have something to respond to with that on the side of ReGen Red. But what does Zul'jin Distillery take out of the equation? Could ban out a support. Ana and the Tyrande are generally the top tier. You do have a couple of things left you could play into. I don't think Lucio is allowed. It might be after the 2-week time period, but I do like the Leoric ban here. Really denying that matchup into the Arthas. Leoric can just continually drain that life away and make Arthas's job a living hell. So not a bad idea there. Not a bad idea there whatsoever. We do still need the support solo lane and another damage dealer. We have Maiev still up. We want to go with that, but we do see the Lucio and the Greymane. So not too surprised with the Greymane. Lucio doing an excellent job here at effectively getting folks out of that Arthas, those Howling Blasts, those Tyrande stuns. We could even see that new talent, that Cleanse at level 10, to help even more with that. So Psychic will be playing that Lucio. This is the first time I get to cast the newly reworked Lucio. And of course the Greymane as follow-up for burst and for more damage. So interesting. I don't know who's going to be in the solo. It's going to be either Imperius or that Arthas. I'm not too sure just yet. Li Ming, of course, for those resets and for Burn on the Immortal. Oftentimes you do see the missile build here on this map just for the additional damage. Thank you, Murda. Lucio and Chromie are in fact legal. We do need a solo laner here. What will we be picking? It is a Thrall. So a decent amount of frontline. That Thrall can go in, dive, I would even argue that Sundering could be a good choice here, just to effectively cripple that backline. Tyrande against any real burst doesn't do a particularly good job. So while the pick is good, they might actually struggle just a tad. So thank you, Murda, for posting those bans. Much appreciated. So, I like the drafts of both teams. The drafts are well suited to this map. I think from a wave clear perspective, pre-4 in the 4-man, I give it to ReGen Red just for that Jaina. But once you get, although Hanzo is probably going to go the W talent at level 4 over the exploding arrows, because that doesn't get as much value. So from a wave clear perspective, I'd say ReGen Red does win it. And same thing from an early kill potential perspective as well. A really solid Arthas Tyrande stun combo with the Li Ming Orb, and that entire combo can really delete anyone on the side of ReGen Red. So it really will depend, and we'll see how this goes, team, as we go into game number 1. Switch the overlay here. Let's zoom out just a bit here. Let's try that one more time. Nope. Okay. There we go. So game number 1 between Zul'jin Distillery and ReGen Red. On the left-hand side, ladies and gentlemen, is Zul'jin Distillery. D-Wit will, in fact, be playing that Arthas in the bot lane as a main tank. Ankles Hot on the Li Ming. Letastar on the Tyrande. Be Fresh will be playing our Hanzo, and Imperius will be played by Cowboy Kyle. On the right-hand side is ReGen Red. Zul'kin playing that Greymane. Psychic playing the Lucio Carve on that Jaina. Arrow main tanking the Johanna. Shui in that top lane playing the Thrall. First Owl is a big miss. Oftentimes, that does dictate the direction of the game. So no big deal. Let's take a look at our talents here. Anything out of the ordinary? Not really. Everything seems pretty straightforward. Laws of Hope being the choice here, with Johanna needing that additional sustain every 40 seconds, which is really good. Echo the Elements taken here by that Thrall in the top lane. And we do see Accelerando, which is still generally the assumed pick. Carve and that Jaina taking a ton of damage as that combo that we see there does begin to land. Hanzo did talent into that simple geometry at level 1. Arrow needs to be a little bit careful there as he is taking a lot of damage. Both teams just trading ever so slightly. Zulkin taking so much damage from all those magic missiles from the Li Ming, but both teams looking to reset and just get a bit of poke. Arrow taking 4 hours to the face there. Let's migrate up to the top lane. Fairly even overall. It does look like Imperius is winning out that trade at the moment, at least from a mana and health perspective. Hey, what's up, Cuban? Ripper, thank you for stopping by. There's Zulkin diving in so deep right now. Can he get a Q off? No, takes so much damage. But it looks like the blue team, Zul'jin Distillery here, forced back as that wave clear advantage in the early game. Just doing so much more for ReGen Red. And look at this, staying in that Worgen form, the Blizzard dropping down on that siege camp. We do see ReGen pushing into that. The Tyrande Owl will in fact scout that out, but Recyclic with that Q, that sound wave, just pushing the Arthas out of that area and allowing for that siege camp to get taken. Will go down pretty quickly though, but we will see this wave crash into that wall as a little bit of damage does begin to trickle away at those fortifications. Top lane again, that is a forced tap. Feels bad, man, but once again, this is a tough matchup. Both teams kind of posturing here, and it looks like they are at the exact same time going for those camps. On this side, we do see the Hanzo and the Tyrande doubling up. Recyclic on the way up to try to help out Zulkin. This is going to be a little tough, I think. Needed to be a little bit faster. He probably will be backing here, so a little bit late. Timing on the camps is absolutely perfect, but the same back there met by the Tyrande, so overall not too bad. Actually deciding not to back there. I think the rotation at the bottom could have been a little bit faster. Both teams do need to focus on clearing that up, though. We shall see. Thank you for stopping by, Ripper. We do see the first bit of damage to those Immortals going out by ReGen Red. The Unstoppable being popped by the Johanna at the perfect time there to deny that damage. Those missiles kind of maybe in the wrong direction, but we are seeing ReGen Red get pushed out off of that point for the time being. Someone will need to deal with this camp at the bot lane. ReGen Red did take a lot of damage. That mid wall has taken quite a bit of damage there. Unfortunately, Li Ming kind of face rolling that orb though. Needs to find a little bit more distance for that to be effective. Imperius working on clearing that camp. It looks like it's good to go as we see ReGen Red begin to push back in once again. Zulkin taking a Lunar Flare to the face on that Grey Mane. The cocktail, the Glenaian cocktail going out, and it looks like halftime is in fact reached first by ReGen Red. Both teams here now gathered level 6 even talent tiers. And it looks like once again, Zul'jin Distillery is on the defensive. Johanna popping that Unstoppable to avoid that stun going out. Zulkin in that top lane continuing to do damage. Cowboy Kyle missing that Impale, that Q. As Shui begins to push in just a little bit. Li Ming trying to get a lot of damage out. And DeWitt taking so much, getting healed up at the last second by the Tyrande, that level 1 talent, doing so much. ReGen pushing back just a little bit, eating that orb, tapping just to reset a little bit as we see the Hanzo being the only one on that point. Let us start taking so much damage at the Tyrande. ReGen just completely pushing them in. Recyclic attempting to get them out. But it does look like this first Immortal will go over to ReGen Red. This will be an experience. Will Recyclic get the team in time? No. Level 7 is so close. So close. One more wave ought to do it. And with a little bit damage done here at the bottom already, ReGen Red begins to posture and gets ready to push in. We do see Echo of the Elements complete there at level 7 as the talent tier advantage does go over to ReGen Red. Push beginning. This Blizzard missing just a little bit. Maybe try to hit the fortifications next time. The shields on the Immortal already going down, but this will be the tower wall going down ever so quickly. Damage will be dealt onto this fortification. Will ReGen Red get this down? Recyclic talenting into that reverse amp at level 7. Nice little change. And periodic catapults will now begin spawning every single wave. Team pushing in just a little bit here. Recyclic getting zoned out by the Arthas, getting caught. That wave missing, that orb missing and not colliding. A little bit of damage actually going out onto that keep fortification, that tower, taking some damage. And overall, ReGen Red is almost an entire level up. Looks like a lane swap will be occurring, as is customary on this map, but as the altercation was happening in that bot lane, we are seeing a huge push into this top lane. Zulkin looks like he will be starting that camp, as Zul'jin Distillery in the bot lane will quickly take the siege camp there. As I mentioned before, we are actually seeing the full Q build on the Li Ming and the full W build on the Hanzo as expected. Crazy Immortal Burn. Will both teams trade out here? A little awkward here. Not sure if the trade, if I like it, but it is going to be even overall. As a result, thank you everyone for stopping in. It does look like both teams will be trading a fort for a fort in those diagonal directions. That, that root missing ever so slightly on Shui there. And it looks like with 3 more, Simple Geometry will be completed. We do have a Khazra camp in the back here pushing in, but I love this invade by ReGen Red. What an awesome play. Super quick, the whole team is there. Zul'jin Distillery forced to back now. Shui clearing out this camp. And it looks like Imperius will see this himself. But the entire team is focused on here. That is going to be 5 members down. ReGen Red not fast enough to burn this down. Psychic trying to get his team out. Needs to change over to that speed. Alright, will be Arrow that gets collapsed on. The Blessed Shield does go out, but Arrow will be the first to fall. Johanna going down there. ReGen Red not recognizing the fact that it was a 5v4, not in their favor. And first blood goes over to Zul'jin Distillery. Greed level a little bit high there. I think maybe a stall here, preventing the team from pushing in, would have been better. Or just focusing entirely on the Imperius. DeWitt was hit there by the Cursed Bullet. No follow-up damage, unfortunately. A little bit of poke damage going out onto Shui, but quickly being healed up. We do see the sound barrier being selected here over that cleanse in this particular game. And overall, it is Zul'jin Distillery that's currently ahead in that health advantage. So once again, a double root going out onto the Arthas. The Thrall being deleted by the Li Ming after that disgusting root. The Imperius next to fall. Johanna being next. Resets after resets. But Li Ming is next to go down. Zul'jin once again with that Cursed Bullet. Recycling, where was your shield? You need to use it earlier. Let a Star being so low, but Zul'jin with 30 health barely surviving. This is so much damage going out to both sides, and both teams are forced to retreat. Zul'jin did look at that tab. Jaina taking a free little poke there. But it looks like as a result of these forced backs, with no members of Zul'jin Distillery to do damage, that will be an Immortal going over to ReGen Red. Insane team fight overall. Need to hit that R button, Recycling. Need to hit that R button. Not sure what happened there, but that damage can be mitigated through that burst, especially through an Arthas root. So need to be a little bit more careful there. Ultimates going out on the side of Zul'jin Distillery as well, but the synergy not too great overall. We do have a free clear fort here in the top lane, however. That was prepared in that last exchange in both lanes. And this will do damage to that keep wall. Shui a little bit far behind. I do like the idea of this 5-man push, forcing decisions to be made here as that shield starts whittling away and going down. This would be crazy if this is the keep wall. A root does go out. The Starfall is what's selected. ReGen Red continuing to push in. The Imperius now forced back. DeWitt doing his absolute best to keep the team alive. A root going out. That's a single arrow being hit onto Zul'jin. They Ring of Frost landing on 2 members in the back line. ReGen Red trying to focus down that keep, and they do end up getting it down. Recycling attempting to get his team out with that Lucio speed, only 10% down from 20 with the changes. Arrow dodging that root, and ReGen Red takes the first keep of the game, looking to the siege camp. 13 talent tier advantage as Zul'jin Distillery tries to find value on the map. Let a Star backing off to heal. Wow, what a fight. That could have gone either way. Hanzo here needs to be a bit further back. A point-blank arrow into a Greymane that's generally full health. Not going to be as impactful as you trying to deny something like a Lucio ult, a Jaina ultimate as well. I do like that zoning ult, that zoning ring by the Jaina there. Just preventing the enemy team from pushing in and really keeping that pressure on the Arthas. We will see that Bruiser camp spawn here in 1 second. It does look like the blue team, Zul'jin Distillery, will be pushing in through that top lane to deny that Bruiser camp from pushing in. Will ReGen Red reprise their original attempt and push into that camp? Nope. Looks like they may have learned their lesson. Maybe not. We shall see. Zul'jin Distillery is now starting their point. We do see Cannoneer taken by that Li Ming. The camp's a bit staggered here, so that might make this a little awkward. We do see pressure here in the bot lane. DeWitt posturing and looking to soak up that experience as ReGen Red is currently up by 1 level. All ultimates are in fact up. Everything here looks pretty standard overall. DeWitt pushing in. Shui being super far forward in the front line. You're not a tank, my thrall. You are not a tank. That's the arrow going out one more time. Nice and early. Ring of Frost only landing on the Imperius. That shield going out as well. The Cursed Bullet landing on the Arthas as he is looking to go down. A huge stun going out from that Imperius, and it's actually Arrow the first to fall. Bad positioning there on the side of ReGen Red will force them to back out as it is 1-0 in kills on this team fight. Wow, that positioning was not good there. Knowing that the Imperius and the Arthas are sharking there, your solo laner should not be standing here when your entire team and your Johanna is showing in this top lane. So a little bit better positioning there, I think, is required, as this is free burn with that Li Ming build going over to Zul'jin Distillery. Those things will be punished. A nice boop that will be pushing back the Imperius. Cursed Bullet going out one more time onto Cowboy Kyle. Needs to be a little bit careful here. ReGen Red pushing in without a tank. Alright, Zul'jin Distillery got that first objective there. That root hitting 2 members of ReGen Red. Carve taking so much damage already, forcing that amp it up to be used nice and early on. Arrow trying to posture as our blue team tries to push back in. Cowboy Cal takes so much damage, is forced to use those angelic armaments. DeWitt going down to 500 health as ReGen Arrow just takes so much damage, but it's a Toronto that gets blown up. The shield going out one more time. It's Cowboy Kyle that looks to stay alive, barely ankle shot at 56 health and staying alive. Carve attempting to do damage with that pierce going out onto enemy team members. The Tyrande getting deleted without using that Starfall. Zul'jin getting knocked out, and one more attack. Zul'jin dives in to get the Hanzo DeWitt the next to fall. Cowboy Kyle following soon after. That is so greedy. Oh man, what a bait. With a Lucio, you have to be careful. A Lucio with a speed boost can just bowl over your team like that, and that's 3 additional deaths going over to ReGen Red. 3 additional kills, pushing them up to talent tier advantage, clearing out this wave here. As we see our teams pushing in. Awesome. Zul'jin Distillery here. Completely doable to come back in this game, especially with the experience mechanics. Need to be a little bit careful with the talent tier advantage and with the Immortal still being at about a third in shield. They do have a lot of burn here. Need to be a little bit careful with that talent tier, as I mentioned. We do see the Starfall going out by that Tyrande nice and early, attempting to zone out the team, accomplishing the goal it needs to. Well done, well done. Zul'jin Distillery. It does look like the keep might be going down. Arrow pushing in once again. Let a Star attempting to escape, and it will be a Ring of Frost that misses, but that kill on the Arthas once again through that Blizzard sitting through it, and Pierce being the next to fall. Let a Star being chased, staying alive just barely. And that is the keep that goes down. That is the shield that goes down on the fort with 2 members down. ReGen Red is looking to end this first matchup. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, the Li Ming not being able to land those combos at the very end, game number 1 goes over to ReGen Red. Whew, well, that game started out, I'd say, pretty reserved. Not a whole lot was happening, and not a ton of team fight action. But in that mid game, especially once that second Immortal came online, both teams really started going at it. As I mentioned before, I like both compositions. In this particular case, it really just came down to the execution, the combination of the ultimates and how they were used. I think in both situations for both teams, there were a couple of misses in the combos, so I think better comms there could help with that blow up, as both teams there were stun and blow up comps. If you look at the damage here, Li Ming and Jaina topping the charts. A lot of good damage here by that Greymane and Thrall, followed soon after by the assassins for Zul'jin Distillery. No big surprises here in terms of talents that I can tell. Everything looks pretty standard and pretty straightforward. Ice Flows, normally you see the Pierce talent, especially on a map like this with the sort of confined spaces, but overall, well played by both teams. Gonna take a quick couple minute break here, folks. Stay tuned for game number 2 of this best of 3 series. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. My name is Ragnarok, casting for you tonight this best of 3 series for NGS Division C East between two teams here, Zul'jin Distillery on our left, our blue team, and ReGen Red, our red team on the right. We just wrapped up game number 1 on Battlefield of Eternity. That game did in fact go over to ReGen Red. And game number 2 we are about to hop into will be on Tomb of the Spider Queen. So let's see if both teams are ready to go. Gave them like a minute warning here. Just go right into it. We have ReGen Red ready to rock. I know it looks like Zul'jin Distillery needed a moment, but that last game, super good drafts from both teams. Really proud of the thought that went into that, especially for that map for Battlefield of Eternity. Looks like DeWitt is ready, so love the draft intelligence from both teams here. Again, I think it comes down to execution. Both teams, for me, feel like they're pretty evenly matched.
Tomb of the Spider Queen.
Let's head into it, folks. Tomb of the Spider Queen. All right. So, bans starting over here for Zul'jin Distillery. In the last game, Artanis and Ana were the first bans here, so wouldn't be surprised about the Ana tier S support. This is one of the smaller maps in the game, so your rotations generally happen between your mid and your top lane. Solo laner is in that bot lane, so we generally see a lot of focus on wave clear on this map. What will be that first ban? We might see a Johanna ban as well in this 1-2, but no, they are getting rid of the Maiev. Someone did their homework. So I do believe Zul'jin is a Maiev player. She's incredible on this map, provides excellent wave clear, really punishes poor positioning as well. So not wanting to deal with that, Zul'jin Distillery gets rid of her. So what will ReGen Red follow up with? They banned ETC and Raynor in the last game. And it looks like they will be following up with that ETC. So not too surprising. Looks like both teams have done some of their work. As far as that token death Thor, I don't remember who was the first to die. It was actually Johanna in that last game. So not paying attention to those token deaths probably as much as I should. Probably because I feel, attacked almost, right? Kael Thas being the choice. So if your team doesn't know how to spread for bombs, that is an excellent ban. I see Kael Thas bans all across Storm League as well, across all elos. This is a burst meta from what I understand, so that Pyroblast can be super tough to deal with. Do we see the Raynor ban here, that auto attack damage for ReGen Red, or do they change to something else based on that last game? And they will be getting rid of the Gold Dance. So this does leave things like that Anubarak up that we saw banned out. That was actually not chosen pre-second ban phase in that last game. So a lot of different options here. We can see the Diablo taken. We have Anubarak. Jaina could be taken for that wave clear. But we see the Johanna taken away from ReGen Red. That Johanna was picked in the 1-2 in the last game from ReGen Red. So not too surprising to see that taken away this go around. So like the denial tactic there by Zul'jin Distillery. What will be followed up? I think it's going to be a Jaina and probably an Ana. Okay. I love this. I absolutely love this. Johanna plays really well into that Garrosh, popping that Unstoppable and making it a little bit more difficult to do a whole lot of things. But we will see the Garrosh and the Malfurion. So amazing combination there. Malfurion needs to be patient and wait for that toss groundbreaker combo behind and just root the target there. Generally you combine that with blow up like Jaina, but we see the Leoric and the Ana taken as follow-up. So Leoric post 20 with that Entomb is savage, absolutely savage with that Silence Entomb. And Ana, once again, depending on how many skill shots you hit, can be a menace as well. Denying that small burst heal from that Malfurion can make all the difference, especially with that grenade build that most people end up taking in this day and age. ban on the Orphea. I do like that. So it looks like ReGen Red, in fact, the entire draft has really been focused around starving these mages. So I expect to see a Jaina ban here to kind of follow suit and really kind of get rid of that last sort of bursty mage. If folks are wondering why I'm kind of leaning to my right, I am writing down the drafts. I do like to talk about these post-game during the team interviews. So a little bit of insight there. Okay, so with the Junkrat ban, also really like that. Junkrat can be awesome on this map with the wave clear and the burst through his Riptire. This is going to be a Jaina. We do know the solo lane matchup in the bot lane, so that can probably be picked last. Or we can pick it here and then see Zul'jin Distillery take their 2 damage dealers. So a lot of options. I think it's going to be Jaina and something. Oh! I'm a bit confused, but I think this can work. So I don't know if they're switching up the roles. I've never seen... This is probably a Lunara in the solo lane, which is a bit odd. Into the Leoric, it could be good. Leoric also has wave clear. She has wave clear, it's just a bit further.
Anytime you're ready.
Wow, okay. This draft kind of got a little weird. Not really sure what to think about this anymore. The role swap or the hero swap looks a bit different, or excuse me, the roles on the side of ReGen Red look a bit different. That is a Thrall and a Lunara. So the Jaina could still be a thing here. Again, I don't really know where this draft is going now. I'm a bit confused, to be honest.
Here we go again.
Wow. So I actually like the Chromie pick a lot because Ana, and this is one of the things that teams get punished for. Ana does not have a cleanse. You cannot cleanse that temporal loop. Also, a really good spot for Malfurion to drop his roots, right on that temporal loop spot. So a lot of CC, sustain damage, and burst for ReGen Red. Haven't casted Chromie either yet, so this is going to be exciting to see what a Chromie can do in these games. The wave clear on both teams is a little lacking, if I'm honest. Not sure who really wins that. The kill pressure on both teams is also a little lacking. I think I'd give it to ReGen Red just a bit more because of that Chromie and the area denial provided by that Garrosh. But as the camera goes way off the screen, folks, we will get into game number 2. Let me change the overlay here. My face will go away. Meant to move all this stuff. Oh no, it's a mess. Okay, there we go. Now I have a mouse back. Sweet. Zoom on out here. Game number 2, ladies and gentlemen, between these 2 Division C East teams. On the left-hand side, we have Zul'jin Distillery. Let us star on that Ana. Be Fresh playing the Rainer. D-Wit on the Johanna. Cowboy Kyle playing that Leoric. And Ankle Shot on the Mephisto. On the right-hand side, we have Shui on the Lunara, Carve playing that Thrall, Zul'jin on the Chromie Psychic, on the Malfurion, and Arrow playing that Garrosh. We will, in fact, see the solo lane be a Lunara. So not typical, but we'll see if that works. We see Shando's Clarity, that Innervate talent taken for that level 1. The toss missing there, unfortunately. That combo not being there. Arrow taking a lot of damage. We see Chromie talenting into that Sand talent at level 1. So after 40 hits, you will increase the echoes to 2. So 5 hits already, pretty damn good. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, this talent now, this Q, the baseline Chromie Q, now will hit enemy minions. Toss going out, that's the combo we want to see. A root going out as well. The Malfurion not being in place to land that, unfortunately, as D-Wit continues to push in. And I love seeing the aggression here by Zul'jin Distillery. The Mephisto doing a lot of damage there, just chunking the back line as Chromie takes a bit of damage there. Rainer continuing to apply that pressure. Seeing the unyielding power, that Q build coming out from the Mephisto as well. Shui taking some damage here. The mana advantage going over to Leoric. A little odd there, but we'll see how that plays out. Overall, both teams pretty evenly matched. Nothing too exciting just yet. Looks like there is just a focus on collecting those gems, getting that wave clear, and making sure that things aren't missed. Carve taking a lot of damage there. Needs to be a little bit more careful in terms of positioning. D-Wit getting tossed once again, getting rooted, but that Unstoppable once again saving the Johanna and just allowing for an easy escape. Ana is going into that contact healing, that W build, so I expect those in the level 4 and level 7. Chromie takes time troubles. That's 20 armor loss for 3 seconds. And allies who step into it, who trigger the time stop, get 20 armors for 3 seconds as well. So, nice little adjustment there. Rotations overall even. Couple more gems on the side of Zul'jin Distillery here as both teams now reach that level 4. Time trap here in position. Possibly trying to catch the rotation. And it's actually the Rainer that's now in that bot lane. I love the adjustment being made here by Zul'jin Distillery. Arrow looking to turn in those 21 gems as a little bit of a fight breaks out here in the mid lanes. Chromie trying to search for those sandblasts, but missing by a mile, unfortunately. Love that rotation there and that change up by the Rainer. This is going to be a significantly harder matchup in my opinion. Rainer stutter stepping out of his mind, doing what he needs to do. Once again, that toss going out, not really doing a whole lot. The root going out into the Mephisto, that Groundbreaker missing only 3 stacks for that Garrosh. Feels bad, man. Indomitable taken, of course, at level 4. Chromie looking to talent in. That's Brown's Talon's actually taken at level 7 now. It's no longer baseline. But overall, a fun start, as Mr. Thor says in that chat. Big time freeze going out there, an Indomitable, excuse me, not Indomitable, a Groundbreaker going out, but missing there as the Leoric did Wraith Walk away just in the nick of time. Does look like Zul'jin Distillery does have the turn in. Rainer pushing in really heavily here with those 15 gems in the bot lane, making this Lunara's life really, really hard. The majority of the gem holders, though, are in fact the tank players for Zul'jin Distillery. That is the Leoric and the Johanna. A lot of damage once again going out onto Arrow. That Sleep Dart landing perfectly. Mephisto doing so much damage through that lightning aura. And just really chunking the enemy team members. Zolkin continuing to stack on that Chromie at 30 already. That's going to be a huge piece of damage. A root going out, Unstoppable being cast as well. The, Chromie W there doing a ton of damage. And it is the Lunara gets a turn in the bot lane, I believe. So the first Web Weaver phase will go over to ReGen Red. Level 7 now being reached by both teams. Arrow being chunked down here. The Leoric being the one that's tossed. But once again, with that Wraith Walk, we will be unable to land. Thor, Chromie got reworked 2 weeks ago. There is a skill shot quest in the form of talents now at level 1, I believe. There might still be a baseline quest. I don't remember off the top of my head. I'll have to check. I haven't played the rework. But her talents did change pretty drastically. So we do see ReGen Red pushing through this top lane. That top lane being super important due to that boss control and distance from the other lanes. But Zul'jin Distillery is here. They are going to clear it pretty easily. That well may be going down. Doesn't look like it. Time trap going out. The root being in place. A lot of damage going on to the Mephisto. The teleport going out. Ana keeping him alive ever so slightly. Not enough damage there. The stun combos overlapping. And will ReGen Red get punished for it? Maybe, maybe not. Arrow being that tank for his team and keeping the team alive. Zul'jin Distillery showing some skills there and pushing ReGen back into their area. Looks like the quest was complete for Chromie. Now we do have 3 of those echoes pushing and dealing damage to the enemy team. This is going to be pretty annoying for the enemy team, but Leoric making the adjustment, pushing down into that bot lane, will get that turn in, and second turn in will go over to Zul'jin Distillery. This matchup, in my opinion, being far more even. The Lunara, again, seems a little weird in this composition to me. I don't think she does as much as another frontliner or additional burst. Jaina, I think, would have been a better choice, but really all depends. things could change post level 10. In that top lane, two folks are caught out of position here. Carve taking a ton of damage. A toss going out onto the Mephisto, but being kept alive at that last minute by Recyclic. There will be a Chromie W going out onto the Web Weaver here in that top lane. Lunara doing her best to clear that bot Web Weaver. Tower's going down, but not a big deal. That mid lane, however, will be in trouble. The Mephisto taking a ton of damage. 89 health, so close to going down, but the Ana will keep him alive ever so slightly. This mid lane fort taking a ton of damage, but Zul'jin Distillery is keeping ReGen Red here in this top lane, and it looks like there is a good chance for this to be the first fortification of the game to go down. Shui is rotating though, but it looks like the pressure was let out just a little bit. D-Wit being zoned out here. A taunt going out. The Malfurion silence overlapping ever so slightly. Ultimate's not being cast in the right order. It's a little chaotic. Shui on that backline attempting to take out the enemy team, and it will be Malfurion and Chromie going out as a result of that Mephisto ultimate. So much damage. Not a ton of coordination, unfortunately, on the side of both teams. And Shui trying to get out a little weird there. One more Q, one more Suddercept should do it, and it will be the Rainer's Raider that gets that kill. At that point, ladies and gentlemen, your goal is to just die. This staggered death gives the enemy team tons of time to do other things on the map. Generally not worth it. Taunt overlapping here with the Twilight Dream, not particularly good. Zul'jin Distillery not really being pressured in the backline either. So well done by them, playing into their advantage and really just trying to stay safe overall. Turn-in is available for Zul'jin Distillery as a result of those kills. A lot of gems going down there. Carve having the majority of them. Looks like Shui will be trying to push in the Sandblast, stopping that Leoric from turning in. There is a time trap up there for vision, which I do love. A priority here on that Bruiser camp that will provide some spell armor. That taunt going down and not really hitting anything. Focusing that Johanna I don't really think is the right play, but with that, the blue Web Weavers will be turned in by that on in the top lane, and ReGen Red, once again, with the spell armor getting pushed in by really excellent macro play. So this is kind of nuts. This Web Weaver will push heavy into this mid lane. The spell armor protecting the enemy team, doing amazing work against that Chromie. Carve taking a ton of damage by that Rainer. Everyone being pushed in, going down ever so slightly. Arrow with such little damage, going down to 10 health, but not being taken out by that Mephisto. The Twilight Dream going out, hitting 3 members, but it will be 2 team members dropping for ReGen Red. This will be a keep going over to the side of Zul'jin Distillery, and this could actually be the game here, ladies and gentlemen. 3 members down. This Web Weaver still up at about a third, excuse me, 2/3 health. Will the blue team push in? It does look like this Mephisto is doing so much work onto that backline, just taking the enemy team down. That will be the bot fort goes down, the mid keep goes down, and Zul'jin Distillery electing to play a little bit safer, which I think is actually the right play given their lack of siege. Starts to paint the map blue. This Mephisto is playing out of his mind, taking that hysteria there, proccing the Lord of Hatred, making that lightning aura go down even faster. That spell aura in the mid lane timed so perfectly, denying so much of the damage from that Chromie. And with that, Zul'jin Distillery is 1 level ahead, 1 keep ahead, full keep wall down in that bot lane, and they're looking to posture for that boss. Love the play here. Will ReGen Red face check this bush? This Raider is giving away the positioning just a little bit. Don't really like that. I think this could have been a really good gank had that Raider not been in that awkward position. The positioning was in favor of Zul'jin Distillery, and this Lunara is showing in the mid lane, so that's a really good opportunity to shove into the enemy team 5v4 with your talents up and absolutely crush them. So a little bit of an adjustment to be made there. The Raider being good overall, but need to consider its vision and what it provides the enemy team. As Twitch chat is saying, I agree with you completely. The play from Zul'jin Distillery overall in game number 1 felt very stagnant. It does look like this team is coming online finally. ReGen Red does have a turn-in, but it is being gatekeeped pretty heavily by the side of Zul'jin Distillery. We do see a slight team fight going out. The Mephisto taking a ton of damage overall as both teams are looking to posture. Malfurion topping off the enemy team. Arrow trying to get that kill. The taunt going out. That's a super early Twilight Dream, but Arrow being pushed so far forward. He gets chunked. Cowboy Kyle taking a ton of damage. The Ana keeping the entire enemy team alive. Thrall is the next to fall here, but Raynor will be followed up. It is 1 for 2 so far. Cowboy Kyle looks to be the next one to fall. And it will be DeWitt that falls next. Ankle shot will be targeted next, and Lunara, with this increasing damage, looks like might be the next target. No, ladies and gentlemen, they will not go down, but it looks like that team fight goes over to ReGen Red. So much back and forth here overall, but this will be a guaranteed turn-in. And wow, that is so incredibly annoying. The Mephisto single-handedly stopping that turn-in. This Leoric will be coming back soon. Oh, so close. If the Ana just positions a little bit more far forward, you can deny this turn-in. The turn-in overall, though, a little bit weird. These lanes are pretty far pushed in, so the turn-in will de-push, which is good. Zul'jin Distillery will be reaching that level 1. A huge root taunt going out onto the Mephisto. That is how you execute the combos, ladies and gentlemen. Unfortunately, the Garrosh is the next to fall. In addition to all of ReGen Red, after level 16, so insanely greedy. And that is a full team wipe, except for that Thrall that escapes with his life for ReGen Red. Insane. Insane that you can get one kill and then just get completely decimated for positioning there. You weren't level 16. You need to respect the enemy team there. Applause over to the side of Zul'jin Distillery for that play, for that counter pressure, recognizing that positioning error. And this will be an easy cleanup for the enemy team. Slexia, thank you so much for these 69 bits. Kappa Prides in chat, please. I appreciate you and your casting. I have seen it. Thank you for hanging out in the ReGen Discord as well. Always a blast seeing your posts. Thank you so much. Alright, so ReGen not really getting any value out of that turn and pretty much feeding their lives away and an additional level over to Zul'jin Distillery. And with one more wave to clear here, XGD will have their next turn-in. Both teams are now even talent tier though. So ReGen Red forced to clear out their lanes and just focus a bit more on relieving that macro pressure. We do see that bot lane taken. ReGen focusing on this bruiser camp. It looks like Zul'jin Distillery is also moving over to their bruiser camp as well. As both teams are now focusing on that macro pressure. Lunara getting that clear nice and easy here in the bot lane. We do see Thunderstorm getting taken by that Thrall. We'll see what kind of value that gets. Revitalize from the Malfurion overall. And that Q talent to complete the skill here. Or excuse me, that kind of build. You could take Q at 13 as well, but I do like the Hysteria, that Lord of Hatred proc. So, overall talents looking mighty fine for both sides. More Q builds talents here. A lot of spell damage now, spell damage. The poison damage doing so much from that Lunara, especially into that late game. Slexia, your posts give me so much happiness, and I do see them at work. I just have to be very careful about who's around me. Catapults building in that top lane need to be dealt with eventually. Chromie a little bit out of position, getting forced out here, does allow for that turn-in for Zul'jin Distillery. The Unstoppable going out, the Wraithwalk going out, saving that Leoric from getting comboed. And that will be the fourth web we return in for Zul'jin Distillery. 2 catapults here in that top lane. Not don't see more coming soon, but that will be the lane that they focus on. Love the posturing here and positioning for Zul'jin Distillery. I would imagine that this keep already being down half health will for sure go down. What an interesting decision here. This will be cleared out. This bottom keep is for sure lost already. How will Zul'jin Distillery act here? A lot of pressure from both lanes, all pushing in, and it looks like they will be going for the core. I think this is the right call. The Rainer being targeted here, the Twilight Dream going out onto so many team members, the Mephisto ult going down, the Rainer getting absolutely melted by that poison damage, Shui barely being kept alive, or Psychic not landing that that W at the right time. 3 members going down for the side of ReGen, Leoric being the next to fall by that Chromie. And this might be defendable. Nope, maybe not. The time trap trying to save that Chromie. The Q being dodged at the last second there. But the Mephisto MVP, ladies and gentlemen. Full team wipe. You cannot give that mage over. 2 ankle shot. Game number 2 goes over to Zul'jin Distillery. Folks, it looks like we will be having a best of 3 game number 3. So this game significantly more dominant over to the side of Zul'jin Distillery. I mentioned it before, I didn't really like the wave clear for both teams. I think it was a little weird. But the combo and this damage, you can see it right here. This Mephisto just diving that backline, getting so many kills there. So many kills. And the Malfurion just not really able to keep up overall. We do see a ton of damage going over to that Chromie, but too much focus was given to that Johanna. The Garrosh combos were really only catching her and not the other team members that can really get decimated and crushed by the Chromie and the Malfurion. So GG's overall. In my opinion, it was the Mephisto MVP on that particular matchup. Excellent macro play from the side of Zul'jin Distillery. And this will be a game number 3, ladies and gentlemen. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. This is a best of 3 series for NGS Division C East between 2 teams that have been duking it out for the last hour. Zul'jin Distillery triumphant in game number 2 on Tomb of the Spider Queen just before this break. and ReGen Red triumphant in game number 1 on Battlefield of Eternity. The sort of volume control knob just kind of completely switching between both sides. Game number 1, ReGen showed an incredible amount of intensity, but in game number 2, Zul'jin Distillery fought back with a vengeance, and in my opinion, dominated ReGen Red with really good picks, amazing macro control. Game number 3 here is on Volskaya Foundry. Please go less than 35 minutes. This game, this map in particular, tends to go super long. Let me ask both teams if they are in fact ready to go, and we will get into it. So both teams, once again, in my opinion, pretty evenly matched. It can go either way. It really kind of depends on the draft and the execution. So ReGen Red is in fact ready to go, and so is Zul'jin Distillery. 3, 2, 1, ladies and gentlemen. Game number 3 will be on Volskaya Foundry. Alrighty. Let me update the score. That would be kind of nice, right? It's tied 1-1. There we go. That's much better. Sweet. And you're right, Ripper. They got the team wipe anyway, but generally it's the burst first, and then you cast the Mephisto ult to get the damage, right? To secure the kills. That Mephisto ult was being cast at the very beginning and doing next to nothing in most of the cases. There was too much other stuff happening. I didn't want to mention it, but thank you for pointing that out, Murda. I will, depending on who wins, we'll talk a little bit about that, because that could have been way worse than it was in game number 2. So, Maiev being that first ban once again on Zul'jin Distillery side, not wanting to deal with it. Do we see the ETC once again as that first ban from ReGen Red? We do. So not wanting to deal with that mosh pit or split pressure from that ETC. And on this particular map, oftentimes you see heroes focus that provide sustain. There's a lot of team fighting on these 3 control points. Supports people like Deckard, sustain damage dealers like your Raynors, your Genjis, to provide that burst and that kill pressure and kill finish. We will see, as a second ban in this first ban phase for XGD, the Diablo. So not too surprising. With the actually, a lot of people end up going the globes here at level 1. You have easy access to the lane, so you can top off pretty easily with wells also nearby. So the sustain allowed for that Diablo is pretty good overall. We have seen a Gul'dan and a Raynor ban in the past, and we will see this Raynor ban. So the bans for ReGen Red are the same as game number 1 thus far. An adjustment here. I wonder if the Johanna will be picked away from Arrow again. Dewitt doing an incredible job and really baiting out a lot of the Garrosh tosses. So not surprising. I think that is the play into ReGen. Abashur, you're absolutely nuts. Thank you so much for the bits. I really appreciate it. That means so much. You don't have to do that, but I really appreciate it. Abashur says, go ReGen. Abashur is one of the rostered members on the team, so good luck, good luck. I shall stay impartial. We see Johanna get picked over by Zul'jin Distillery, and we see ReGen Red follow up with a Junkrat. Amazing wave clear, once again, burst potential through that Riptire, and a Nubarak. So a nice early Nubarak. Once again, great pick overall. Depending on who that Cocoon gets used on, super short cooldown, and can really cripple and disable a team. So Ana and, ooh, Orphea. Okay, so time to see ankle shots Orphea. If it's as good as that Mephisto in that last game, I'm a bit scared. So the Orphea was in fact banned out in the second ban phase by ReGen Red, so that won't be an option here. Orphea with the nano boost is pretty damn terrifying. So what will ReGen ban here? They banned a Nubarak before, but they took it, so they are actually getting rid of the Hanzo. Hanzo, pretty good for this map. A lot of sustained poke, a lot of burst too, and that arrow just can completely destroy a team's synergy. So bans left here: Leoric, They've banned a Kel'Thas before. What are they scared of? Kel'Thas is pretty scary in this map. A lot of bomb spread potential. But they actually do get rid of the Leoric. Okay. Oh, Murda. Oh, Murda. This is why I shouldn't look at chat. Okay, so we need a support, we need another damage dealer, and we need a solo laner. No Lunara solo lane, please, this time. I want something a bit more standard for ReGen Red. That was a bit awkward. We see Cassia and Tyrande. I do like those pickups. Cassia with that Q talent. I love Cassia myself, and I love her Q build even more. So Cassia with that Q build can really do wonders. You can stack super early on this particular map with it as well. So great selections there by ReGen Red, leaving the solo lane to the very end here. And what is the 4-5? Huh. Garrosh Alarak. Not sure if there was a miscommunication here. Or if that was intentional, but this puts either the Garrosh or the Johanna in the solo lane with an Alarak as a front line.
I yearn for battle.
So interesting. And I love the Imperius pickup here. So not really sure what that's about. Orphea does okay in terms of once again. Actually, in this case, Orphea does okay with wave clear. I like the Junkrat wave clear much better. Even Cassia herself with that fan can help out. But the Garrosh Johanna, that is a pretty solid wall to have to push through. Both of those tanks offering some form of sustain. Same with that Alarak. And positioning could be a problem. This might make it really difficult for the Anub'arak to play into. Any dive is going to get punished by a toss, a condemn, a slow, an Alarak push. So Arrow needs to play incredibly careful here to not get literally comboed to death. Wow, as you guys are all dizzy now. I'm dizzy. Let's switch over to the right overlay, the in-game here. Get a couple of things. Nope. This one. I'll remember it eventually. Ladies and gentlemen, this is game number 3. Should I mention that? To the raid and don't forget.
10 seconds.
Can I do /all? Oh god.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hopefully teams remember. Trying to be nice here. On the left-hand side, we have Zul'jin Distillery. Game number 3 in this best of 3 series. Cowboy Kyle is on the Johanna, so that will be the solo laner. D-Wit is on the Garrosh. Ankle Shot on the Orphea. Be Fresh on that Alarak. And Let Us Star. Oh my god. On the Ana. Sorry, folks. Super late day at work and super late here on the East Coast. ReGen Red on the right-hand side. Arrow is on that Anub'arak. Zul'jin is playing that Junkrat. Tyrande played by Recycled. Carve will be on the oh my goodness, Cassia, and Shui will be playing that Imperius. We do see Carve getting tossed first and foremost, but the Tyrande will be healing them up. And what we just witnessed there, ladies and gentlemen, is what we will need to be careful for. Although this matchup is a bit weird, the Johanna into the Imperius, the amount of CC and control and that legitimate barrier, that CC from Zul'jin Distillery will make it difficult to push in. So I think the ReGen Red does need to rely on that poke to take the enemy team down on these team fights. Look at talents real quick. We do see that Thunderstroke getting taken at level 1 talent. ReGen Red focusing on the camp. Actually, both teams focusing on their camp. So love this. Absolutely love this. Both teams focusing on that macro pressure. And thank you everyone for tuning in. I really appreciate the support and the love and the chat. Awesome to be casting a game number 3. D-Wit taking some damage here. Minions going everywhere. Love the Junkrat pick on this particular map. A lot of really good zoning potential. Thank you, Ripper. That's kind of what I thought. I don't know what to do here. I hope they don't take it. I mean, I'm not going to say anything. That's something that ReGen needs to bring up, I believe. But we shall see. It's not my job to police that. I tried. Shui actually needing to tap that well nice and early, not getting that skewer there, that impale, but Johanna holding her own here overall. Globe going out here. Globe going out there. The heal getting denied overall by the Ana. Everything else seems pretty standard. Instead of Ring of the Leech here, I would have taken the Blind Talent, right? Especially into a Garrosh and a Johanna Condemn. You prevent any sort of auto attack damage from coming out. Again, not a ton of AA going there, but Ring of the Leech actually could be decent as well. That damage does include Blind plus your Q, so that's really, you know, I take that back. That's an okay personal preference. Once again, literally dead even in terms of when those camps are taken. So, love the fact that both teams are prioritizing those. Support camp still is up. Still is up. Howdy, Born. Thank you so much for stopping by. Oh, I hate the lurkers, dude. I hate the lurkers. Just kidding, just kidding. Dewick getting tossed there. Arrow forced to use that burrow and nice and early, dropping those beetles to take some of that damage and distract the enemy team as ReGen Red is the first on the objective. We do see zoning happening here through that Junkrat trap and the mine. Absolutely love it. But it does look like that heal camp is started and is leashed over to the left-hand side. Dewick taking a lot of damage and getting popped on over. A huge stun going out, and with that combo, ladies and gentlemen, First Blood will go over to ReGen Red. Amazing, amazing Junkrat mine there. That setup by Zulkin being so clutch. So clutch. And now a heal camp going over to the red team at the price of a Garrosh, a talent tier lead, and a turret plus a heal camp. I'd say that's totally worth it. That stun once again, the impale setup, the follow-up lunar flare being there. Oh boy, someone ate their Wheaties after last game. ReGen Red on point 2 times in a row now, punishing positioning and taking advantage once again of these death timers and these staggers. We do see both teams going for those turrets. No items dropped just yet. The right team members there to pick those up. Oftentimes you do see folks forget or miss them. Will Zul'jin Distillery push in? It looks like they will. Items not being dropped. The heal camp is down. That will be a turret being pushed in. The Anubarak diving back. A ton of damage going out onto B Fresh. Shui being the first to fall along with that Alarak. Even overall, Arrow looking to escape the Unstoppable and not saving that Garrosh as the turret does a ton of damage. Someone pick up that turret. Arrow, thank you very much. Both turrets going down. That dive going out onto the Johanna, the Ana. The Orphea getting taken down by that turret. That team fight was madness. The heal camp felt like it went out too early. None of the turrets went out at the right time. So, kind of felt a little Clown Fiesta-ish overall. But it is ReGen Red that comes out triumphant. Little Clown Fiesta-ish there, not gonna lie. But, okay, Johanna kind of going down for free there. Feels a bad man, not really respecting that damage of that Triglav. And it will be ReGen Red pushing in, looking to take that well down and denying the sustain of the second Triglav Protector. As for what you just pointed out, Murda, we can kind of monitor it, right? I think it sounds like it's more about bug abuse. So, again, I tried mentioning something. I'm not going to mention it. It's up to the teams. I am just a lowly caster. But overall, really good work done here by ReGen Red. Not taking the fort down, but taking out the entire wall and those fortifications, and taking the entire fort down in the mid lane. Currently level 10, we see Starfall, Angelic Armaments, the Lightning Ball, Riptire, and that Cocoon. All right. So both teams kind of a little at ease, a bit further back into their bases. That support camp is coming up, and it does look like that is where the team is postured. They are not level 10 yet. The Alarak is the one that gets pushed in. The Ana being the target. The Cassia Q's missing, but it is the Alarak that is left behind. Will ReGen Red be able to get anything left? No, Sun does go out in time, and that is the Alarak getting caught as a result of that dive. Level 10 did hit in time, but none of those talents were chosen. None were chosen, and that's something that I would recommend teams practice, ladies and gentlemen. When you hit level 10 in the middle of a team fight, you still have the option, and you should take those talents. That Blessed Shield could have denied that push back in. A little bit of a miscommunication there with the ultimates. There was an overlap there. The Cocoon did deny that Lunar Flare to start, but overall, ReGen made it work, focusing on those camps again, getting that heal camp on Psychic for the Tyrande, and taking down another team member. So 7-2 kills. This game significantly faster in terms of those kills and opening up this map.
Hero slain.
Oof, is that a T-Tours? Maybe. Shui not respecting the positioning on the map and getting taken out by Zul'jin Distillery. Excellent rotation by our blue team, punishing that position, and we do see a pause in the game. They can't see what I'm saying. Into the Fray is banned. Okay. So, like, what do we do here? Can the enemy team play with it anyway? Not in all chats. Murda or anyone in chat, do you know what the protocol is here regarding figuring this out in the middle of the game? Because I can't talk to the players. Okay, it looks like they are discussing it, so sit tight, ladies and gentlemen. Sit tight. While this is happening, let's talk a little bit about what we're seeing on the talents for our team members. It looks like overall the game is currently highly in favor of ReGen Red based on the kill count and the experience alone, with a 1 level lead. Orphea going the Mind Devourer. So we are seeing the Dread talents at 4 and 7. And it looks like ReGen Red is allowing for Into the Fray to be used. So hats off to them for allowing the game to continue, even though that banned talent is picked. And in a gentleman's agreement here, DeWitt has asked to... he was asked to not use Into the Fray, and he mentioned that he wouldn't, in case you can't read the chat. So, Ronan, I mean, you probably can unbind the key if they use it on the Protector. One ruling, please. Not 2 to 3 people saying different things. So it looks like Into the Fray is not going to... What is the ruling? What? Sorry, folks. This is not expected. and it's not overtly clear to me what the situation is, but it looks like the ask is for Into the Fray to not be used whatsoever. So that looks like that is the agreement. Not sure what's going to happen if that is used. We'll see how the game goes. Cool. All right. So to be clear, we are not going to be using Into the Fray. That is the suggestion from ReGen Red, or that's what was agreed on. Both teams do look ready, so we will be coming back in here. Countdown will be started. 3, 2, 1. Let's unpause the game and get back into it, folks. So, sorry about that interruption there. Into the Fray is picked. I agree with you as well, Ripper, but I also think that teams should know what they shouldn't be picking on maps. Those rules have been posted everywhere, and I think that it's completely fine. I couldn't talk to the teams or really arbitrate, so ReGen Red and they agreed to just not use it at all. So they are adults, they can figure it out. I am just trying to provide you a cast. Getting back into it for a moment, we see level 13 on the side of ReGen Red. Reaching that first. The agreement was changed, Murda. Recyclic at the very end there mentioned to not use it at all. Which is why I was asking for clarity, because different people were saying different things. So, level 13 advantage currently in favor of ReGen Red. Looks like the Johanna is posturing and trying to get that soak in the mid lane. One more wave ought to do it. There is a camp pushing out here in the top, but that should be easily clearable. Sentinel build looking like it is a choice here. We do see the Thunder God's Vigor. An engage is now going out. A double stun going out to the enemy team. The Angelic Armaments being used. That is the Devourer hitting the enemy team members. The Cassia getting launched into that back line. Dread blowing the Cassia up first. ReGen Red needs to get out of that Mind Devourer, taking so much free damage. And that is a super late Riptire that gets taken out by those turrets. So much chaos there at no value. A triple stun going out onto the enemy team. Just getting the Alarak prepped and ready to go with that talent. Ugh, no synergy there whatsoever. And just kind of sitting in this choke point with that Devourer, the Eternal Feast. Just doing so much damage. Well done by Zuhul Jin Distillery. Well done there. So, punishing the enemy team for that positioning, for not moving. Cassia needs to play a bit further back, right? Cassia, oh, looks like there is another fight. That is taunt going out onto the Nubarak as we described. The Devourer once again destroying the Cassia. You need to play further back, Carve. You shouldn't be the one that gets caught there. You took the Q build, Recyclic being the next one to get targeted. As the enemy team pushes in, and once again, ReGen Red getting absolutely punished. No mine on that point. Cassia being the one that gets pulled in and blown up instantly. Where was the Lightning Ball? Where was the Cocoon? You have these talents at your ability, but it's the Orphea once again. Ankle shot that continues to make these plays. Continues to zone. And just in these specific choke points just makes it so difficult for ReGen to do a whole lot. This Triglav Protector is pushing towards that bot lane. That third Triglav always landing there, and it looks like they will be trying to take these fortifications down. ReGen Red doing a little bit of damage, about 20% overall to the Triglav as he begins to siege on that wall. 12 minutes in, does a decent amount of damage. And now that the entire team is here, minus that Johanna, who's rotating and soaking that 16, we will see ReGen defend this pretty well. And the target here is that well. Those machine gun blasts missing just a little bit, but this should be enough to take that well, take that sustain for this next Triglav Protector. Both teams will be hitting level 16 shortly. Zulkin taking a lot of damage here. A dive going back out onto the enemy team. The silence not landing. It is a 2v3. Carve once again getting tossed into that back line. Alarak getting taken out once again. Shui looking for that dive. Not landing at all. Not mounted, unfortunately. Will be followed up here by the Anubarak. That Ana taken out through that dive and additional sustained damage. More auto attacks going out. A massive mine taking that Orphea back. The Mine Devourer not doing anything there. That's what happens when you get zoned correctly, or when you move correctly. Shui pushing out from that toss outside of the fortifications there. And ReGen Red fighting back in this open space, dodging those skill shots. And the Eternal Feast. Why do I keep calling it Mind Devourer? I don't know. We're going to go with that. But yeah, on this map, oftentimes you do see that adjustment. I still like the Crushing Jaws in general, especially with the Garrosh, right? That's a completely free combo that goes along with the Taunt. It's a lot of blow up, especially post 20, but to each their own. If Eternal Feast is going to get that value that it gets on the map because the enemy team isn't moving, then so be it. So be it. Dive going out onto D-Wit on the Garrosh, popping that Indomitable. 2 Unstoppables from the enemy team going out. That is the Garrosh that gets zoned out. Cowboy Kyle has nothing to go into. Once again, the Eternal Feast doing work, getting not as much value. That time, the Cassian not getting blown up, casting that lightning ball, takes 2 members down. Oh my goodness, I can't speak. The Lunar Flare taking that Alarak down, and that is 4 members going down for the side of Zul'jin Distillery. Excuse me. The wait there, waiting for the Unstoppables to go out, getting that Garrosh out of the equation and just pushing into the enemy team was super clutch. The Orphea ult was cast in this choke point and did do a decent amount of damage, but there was much more focus placed here by ReGen Red to move out of that area. And we do see the the turret taken, Carve taking the heal camp there, as the well was denied here by the well was crushed here in the meantime during that death by ReGen Red. Arrow going back for some mana here. I think that's a good idea. About a 1.5 level lead now. We do see 14 stacks on that Lunar Flare, so doing a bit of damage. Shui needs to be careful. There is a rotation coming to that top lane. No vision at the moment. Can we see that? Nope. Yikes, that was a bad idea. I'm not a League streamer. There we go. The taunt going out onto the Junkrat. No vision, ladies and gentlemen. You can't be there at that time. I think I caught it. It was a little bit close, but that is the Junkrat that ends up going down, and it gets immediately blown up. A turret forced out, and this will be a camp invade going over to Zul'jin Distillery. Well done punishing that positioning. And that is a 30+ second death timer for ReGen Red, in addition to forcing this camp clear. So the objective did spawn in the bot lane. We see Zul'jin Distillery moving down and starting to push into that area. Need to be careful once again. It's just Arrow here without the support of his team. There is another heal camp here. Ana will be lagging a bit behind, but with that Junkrat still not up, this is going to be a free turret going over to XGD. Well done. Well done. I mean, you're going to get punished for that bad positioning, so XGD here pushing in, getting that punish, painting the map blue, and taking these objectives, these fortifications. We do see that Owl hitting D-Wit. They're doing a little bit of damage as ReGen Red begins to posture and collect. So this is where it gets crazy, ladies and gentlemen. Objective C in the bot lane. This could go either way. Fortifications dead even. Not a fort has gone down yet. Arrow getting tossed in. The heal camp does go out. That's a much better mine. The Hunger, the Orphea ult going down. needs to get out of the way. The Orphea getting crushed in the backline. Arrow doing so much damage. The Alarak being the next to get tossed. Shui continues to push in on the enemy team. This front line doing so much work. Carve attempting to continue hitting the enemy team. That is a massive Lunar Flare going out. The Junkrat Q securing that kill from the Johanna, and it is a 3-for-0 trade going over to the side of ReGen Red. Shui will be postured here on the enemy turret, and it looks like ReGen will be pushing in to the enemy fort. Makes perfect sense. This is a great way to prep that lane in preparation for the Triglav, and this does net the red team that level 20 advantage. We do see a Celestial Wrath upgrade here. So this is the Starfall upgrade. It does give negative armor. It applies Hunter's Mark to everyone in that area of effect. That comboed with the Junkrat kill pressure and all the other damage is going to be savage. So ReGen making that adjustment, not really falling for that Eternal Feast anymore. And this will be a Triglav Protector going over to the side of ReGen Red. I do love the push here. They're probably going to end up pushing and preparing, pushing through this bot lane. They are level 20, so any kill here on Zul'jin Distillery could signal the end of the game. Currently 19 minutes here on Volskaya Foundry. Camp here in the top lane will get some value, but it's not going to be as much value as this keep in the bot lane. So this keep, ladies and gentlemen, will end up going down. Once again, this is game number 3. That Triglav being super healthy and ReGen still with a level 20 advantage. The Junkrat mine and the trap zoning really well, and it looks like ReGen here will be pushing for that core. The Ana getting pressured a little bit. Arrow getting taunted under that keep. A huge stun combo going out. A shield going out. He does end up making it out. The Alarak getting healed out by that triple Q from the Ana as ReGen continues to push in. That lockdown from the Q on the Triglav will in fact miss, and ReGen is now focusing on this core. Arrow continues to get focused. Silence will end up maybe falling. How is he alive? Ladies and gentlemen, there he goes down. ReGen attempting to take this last game number 3. Will it be enough damage? Zul'jin just going all in. Tirana trying to keep the team alive, but Junkrat ends up going down. The Triglav doing one more auto attack, and ladies and gentlemen, with that last core push, a 20-minute Volskaya Foundry game. Game number 3 goes over to ReGen Red. Well, that escalated quickly. That bottom objective, as Ripper says in chat, is a death pit. There's no other way to describe it. That could literally go either way. Both teams had their lanes fairly well prepped in that bot lane, but that last team fight did give ReGen Red the advantage. I do think that the kill pressure and kill potential, even with these damage numbers, was okay, but as you see here, you see ReGen Red was a bit closer to the top. That double tank idea is an interesting one, and it does provide, as I mentioned, that wall, but comboing that with an Alarak and forcing him to play forward into a Junkrat, knowing that Ana needs to try to sustain all of this front line is generally not a good idea. I think if you had swapped out that Johanna for something else, you might have more damage, or you definitely would have more damage, and kill pressure to go with that Orphea. So GG's to both teams. Things here look overall pretty standard. Level 20 is not picked for some team members. Feels bad. Let's see if I can get someone in for an interview. Okay, interview, GS Lobby 5. Yes, Murda, thank you. Thankfully, not 35 minutes. I would have screamed. I'm already losing my voice, and it's been 3 games. Losing my voice. But yeah, I mean, overall, that last game was super exciting. It could have gone in any direction, in my opinion. Mr. Recyclic, the team captain of ReGen Red, joining me here today. First and foremost, congratulations for your win in this best of 3 series. How do you feel?
Oh, greetings, Ragnarok. Recyclic couldn't make it. I came instead. No, I'm kidding. No, we're feeling good. I mean, it was a little sloppy. It was very sloppy, but it's fine. Like we got it out with the W. It's I'm feeling fine.
Awesome. So let's kind of talk through your games, and I want to talk a bit about the drafts and how they all kind of progress. So,
Sure.
game number one, you decided to take Zul'jin Distillery to Battlefield of Eternity. What was kind
Yes.
of the idea behind that map pick?
That map is something that, well, from what we've seen so far, is it's very disliked in this division.
Sure.
I see it's banned a lot, and it's one of my personal favorites. And it's one of the more fascinating ones simply because there's two ways to play it. You can play it like you want a super burn, or do you want to blow up the other team and prevent their burn? And I think both teams had pretty solid immortal burn. They had what did they have? Hanzo and
Hanzo Li Ming.
Hanzo Liming. Thank you. Yes, yeah, no, and that's pretty solid. And then ours was also solid, like with a Tyrande and a Greymane. So
Right.
it could have gone either way. But yeah, no, personally, that's one of my favorite maps, and I just really enjoy it. So
Yeah, and that's something I mentioned in the cast for game number one. I actually
Mhm.
really loved the team compositions for both sides. It was incredibly well drafted.
Absolutely.
It was well thought out. It was perfect comps for the map. I think it just kind of came down to the execution. And interesting, you picked the sort of original Lucio ult, that shield over the, what's it called now? High five?
High five. Yeah.
What was your thought process behind that?
So, like was said before, they had Li Ming and Hanzo, and it's not super easy to run in once that Dragon's Arrow comes out and just go and try and unstoppable everybody after
Sure.
they've already been stunned. But yeah, what also does, I'm not super convinced with High Five is that it puts you in harm's way as well.
Right.
You dive in and maybe you don't necessarily want to be there. So yeah, but it also but sound barrier also prevents leaming damage. It'll help against pretty much their entire team. Really, they had a lot of burst.
Yeah, makes perfect sense.
Yeah, that was my logic for that.
Nice. So let's move on to game number two. And in
Sure.
game number two, Zul'jin Distillery really showed up. That Mephisto really kind of wrecked the backline. I saw him
He did.
really kind of target you in particular. Is that something y'all were expecting, or did it really catch you by surprise?
100% we did not expect it, Mephisto. No, not at all. And you could I loved our draft a lot, but once again, it's like you said, came down to execution, and we did not execute it properly. Our damage was on the wrong person at the wrong time. But basically, it's funny you say with Mephisto too. Like, he was our target, or at least he was mine and Chromie's, but it seemed like everyone was on a different page. So I think that's what wound up happening.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
super tough too. I mean, the Lunar in the solo lane seemed a little weird to me at first. Was kind of getting outmatched at the beginning into the Leoric, and then Raynor was kind of rotated down there. And that was a really good adjustment by Zul'jin Distillery. But I would agree with you overall. I think the macro play from XGD there was pretty good. And once they kind of started that snowball, it was just kind of really hard to recover.
Yeah.
What does your team think in terms of the Chromie rework? Do you think she's powerful? What do you kind of think is her place in the current meta of the game?
Sure. So typically we have Zulkin play her, and if not, it's Abishur, who's a sub, so
Sure.
he wasn't here. But it's typically one of those two, and they both like her. Zulkin definitely believes that she's very powerful. He really likes having the Q at 1 is.
I saw like
super
full
valuable.
Q build, yeah, which is pretty
yeah,
nice.
exactly. And I have to agree that the Q build is pretty much is probably the best one. I don't know too much about DPS, so I really
Sure.
can't say.
Sure.
But yeah, it definitely. I definitely think she has her place right now.
Nice.
She's got wave clear now. She can do a lot more that she couldn't do before.
Makes sense. And then kind of closing it out here on Volskaya Foundry. So a map that can take a long ass time. Thank you for keeping it to about 20 minutes. That's appreciated. So very interesting here. Oh, one thing to mention, the priority on the Johanna from Zul'jin Distillery. I like that a lot. I know a bit about your team, and I know that that's kind of a preference. So Is that something you guys kind of were prepared for? Like, it looks like you in the second game you picked the Anubra. Sorry, the third game you picked the Anubrak, and the second game you picked the Garrosh, and that Anubrak got so much value in that last game.
Yes. Yeah. No, we. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't mean to.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. So we 100% expected Johanna to be at least to be first picked. not even kidding. Like
Sure.
we said if they get Johanna and Anna, if we're taking because we were discussing in our 1-2, like, do we want Anna? Do we want Junkrat? Do we want a noob now? Like we were discussing all different heroes, and we were saying, well, if we don't pick this one, they get it, and that was exactly what happened. So we knew that they were going to get Johanna no matter what. So we wound up going with Anubarak, and which worked out significantly well. And then we gave them the Anna because we really wanted the Junkrat burst.
Right. And I think that made perfect sense, right?
Yeah.
Even though Ana is in that tier S, and I know you and I have discussed it many times, that picking your support that early does allow for the enemy team to counter draft with burst.
Of course.
Ana can't really deal with that well. The closest she can get is that level 16 when you get your 3 Qs. But even then, that has to hit, right? Active reload.
Yeah.
So it's generally not enough to deal with something like an Imperious Dive with a Tyrande Stun and the Junkrat blow up. So, and the sustained damage with the Cassia overall, sort of with the Lightning Ball. So overall, I liked your draft in this last game. Kind of got a little Monka at times. Both teams, the team fights in that particular game in the Volskaya felt a little chaotic. Everyone was kind of all over the place. There was a lot of front line for Zul'jin Distillery, and they were getting a lot of value at first out of that Eternal Feast.
Yeah, that was as soon as we realized don't stand in that, we started winning.
Yeah, I was gonna say big purple circles are generally not what you want to stand in, but literally once you started doing that and you started taking team fights more out in the open, the game kind of swayed in your direction. And to kind of close it out, tell me a bit about that decision at the very end. It looked like you were trying to team fight. You had level 20. Some of you were kind of attacking the core. Some of you weren't. Like, what was kind of comms? What did comms sound like during that last little piece? Sure.
So basically, we had Shui and Carve in the protector, while Zul'jin was saying, "All right," Shui was like, "If I find something, I'm gonna go for it." And he started in their direction, and you saw like a noob would go in with him, get thrown, then get stunned, and then he'd burrow out. Like he was trying to get out, and Protector was trying to find something. As soon as we couldn't find something, Zul'jin realized, let's just hit the core. Like we've got 20, we've got this massive robot. Let's just hit the core, and that wound up being exactly what won it for us. Really was the core call. So at first, yes, we were looking for something. We were looking for a team fight. But then, as we couldn't find anything, we just said hit the core, forget it.
Yeah, and I think perhaps a more optimal play in the future would be just going for that core. It's a 20-minute Triglav protector, and I think you had chunked them down so much. I think if you had kind of just focused on the core from the beginning and not worried so much about them, you probably would have ended the game faster. But I mean, at the end of the day, a win is a win. It was a really close one. Like the last hit from that Triglav protector is what took out the core, which is a nail biter, but
it was sitting at 1% for a few seconds.
Oh yeah, it definitely was. So, but again, a win is a win. You took it to a game 3. Hats off to Zul'jin Distillery. I mean, they brought it in game 2 and game 3. They brought it in all the games. Again, I think a lot of the team fights, from my perspective, were just kind of come down to execution on either side. So. That's all I had for you, Repsychic. Do you have any shout-outs before I let you go?
Yeah, let me actually start off with you, because I literally always forget to shout out the caster and thank them for picking this up. So, number 1, you. Number 2, I'll just shout out team. Zul'jin Distillery, really hard fought. That was actually a lot of... that was one of the most... Monka I've felt this season. It was definitely one of the most Monka I've felt.
Sure.
But so big shout out to them and to my team as well. So and anyone watching, you guys are great. Thanks for watching.
Awesome. Well, this has been Repsychic, team captain of ReGen Red. Have a good night. Enjoy your victory here, and I'll catch you soon. Later, Rec.
Bye.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we conclude this best of 3 series, Division C East, between Zul'jin, Distillery, and ReGen Red. To kind of quickly recap the games, game number 1 went over to ReGen Red, played on Battlefield of Eternity. Both teams with incredibly good burst comps to take that Immortal down, but overall, the team fights and the engages and those choke points and the invades really went over to ReGen Red. The game completely flipped in game number 2 on Tomb of the Spider Queen. A Pocket Mephisto just doing so much work and crushing the backline for ReGen Red. Macro play there, super on point, well thought out, camps timed amazing, led Zul'jin Distillery to a victory on our second map. And this third map, Volskaya Foundry, which we just finished up, wrapped up in 20 minutes, went over to ReGen Red at the end. The team fights, super chaotic, really close at the end of the day, but a couple of minor adjustments and the mid to late game got ReGen Red the victory. So, ladies and gentlemen, we will be looking here for someone to host. I believe Bahamut Gaming is casting Division D in NGS, so we will throw him the host. He is. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for the bits, Slexia and Abashore. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed this cast. My name is Ragnarok. I will catch you guys later.